I got our question of the day up. How do you feel on a scale of 1 to pun of the week? Kind of like that. Fantastic. Not so good, I'm feeling crabby, feeling blue. I like these little how are you doing things. He's fantastic. I love it. And your tie-dye kind of matches the color of the fan on the screen even, so that kind of ties right in there. All right, great. Well, good to see everyone today. I can tell you, there's a new movie out in theaters. We went and saw it this week. What Happens Next is the name of it. It was filmed right here in Northwest Arkansas. I didn't even know that when we went to see it, but it was filmed at our airport and at Crystal Bridges. It has Meg Ryan and David Duchovny. I was surprised. We're sitting there watching this, go like, wait a minute, that's Crystal Bridges, isn't it? And at the end, sure enough, yeah, it's Crystal Bridges and our airport. So it's pretty cool. So, all right, let me get this off the screen. But yeah, if you want to catch a good movie, that What Happens Next, filmed right here in Northwest Arkansas, that was kind of cool. All right, let me put this up on the screen and see what we're looking at this week. Cybersecurity. We look at our grade screen to see where we're at. We're starting Module 3, which you see the final exam is there. So we're in the last module that we're going to cover this semester. And we don't have much left until Christmas break. We only got 2 weeks left till Thanksgiving break. So we've got 2 lessons we're going to get through. And then we'll come back and we'll do a couple more lessons and have our final exam for the semester. So let's go ahead and look at Module 3. I can close Module 2 now. All right, network security. So we're getting into network security more in this lesson. Network security zones. So fighting cybercrime is similar to planning for war, hopefully with not as much fallout. But just as in normal warfare, attacks can be large or small because there are cyber attacks constantly. If cyber criminals can take out a government website, they might be able to disable entire water supplies for cities. This is where a security zone, like a DMZ, demilitarized zone, can thwart disaster. So that's where it helps in networks to kind of break things out. Organizations typically have several computers and servers on their networks. So there's times when those servers will be accessed by people on the outside. When you have like a website on your company hosts a website on its own server. So any service provided to users on the external network can be placed in a demilitarized zone, a DMZ. You may have a web server that doesn't connect to other networks in the system. So if you get attacked, it kind of isolates the attack. So common examples include web servers, which are just designed to contact with the web, host websites, stuff like that, but it may not be connected to your internal network. Mail servers, which just handles email because a lot of viruses and stuff are sometimes sent through emails. FTP servers, VoIP servers. So a DMZ network architecture is an example of how to isolate private internal networks from outside intrusion. So let's see how it operates. Select each marker to see an example of a DMZ network. So you have this network. Let's start at the bottom right here. See what that says. Okay, that's your local area network. It has a private IP address. So that's all your local users inside your business or organization. Then within that, it's connected to the firewall. See, all the zones are tied together with one or more firewalls, and that'll mask the IP addresses of the internal users. So everybody in your network organization has their local area network, and then there's a firewall that protects that from the next unit here, which is the server, right? The servers that need public and private access. It's like this helps coordinate everything from these over here to this one. And then there's another firewall right there, and that'll mask from the IP addresses. And over here, you'll have the public zone, the internet zone, right? So the internet For the internet to access the server, there's a firewall, which should screen out most of that. And even if they break through and get to the server, they may have access to some of the other servers, but still there's another firewall that'll keep them from getting to all the local computers inside the network of the organization. So that's kind of how that is all set up. Remember, not all network security tools are perfect, because if they were, we wouldn't have hackers, right? A DMZ can't do anything after a network's been penetrated. After they've gotten past your firewall, it's too late. That's not going to do any good. So like a Trojan horse, a DMZ is meant to be part of a network security plan. And you should have other things. That's like why that one DMZ showed 2 firewalls. Well, what happens if they breach that? Well, still, we want to protect them from our local network. They're not infiltrating all our computers in our organization. So there's multiple layers, and there's usually a lot more than just those 2 firewalls. Okay, let's talk about the intranet and the extranet. Probably haven't heard that term very much, but intranet, you may have heard intranet. You hear internet all the time. That's where we're connecting with other places around the world. But let's talk about intranet and extranet. So the primary function of a DMZ is to protect an organization's intranet. Let's look at the definition. That's a private enterprise network designed to support the organization's employees as they communicate, collaborate, and perform the roles. That's basically the private part of your network that's not available to everyone on the internet. So it helps keep the internet from outside intrusion. So why does the company even need an intranet? So it makes communication between your staff members more efficient. Employees can gain access to the latest company information securely. All that would be in the intranet without having to go outside the network. It can make training new employees easier. New hires can find organizational charts, policies, procedures. There's usually a center database of stuff where everybody can access the same files. Like we have that here in the school district. I can access a lot of the district files that they put that governs all the schools. I can see what's the policy on that. Well, there's an intranet where I can go and pull up the policy that all schools can go look at that would affect that. Additionally, the intranet encourages employees to collaborate on ideas, connect with each other. So I can connect with other teachers here. This can help the organization increase productivity by reducing the number of emails or meetings. And external access typically uses a virtual private network. Like I can access a lot of stuff from my house because the computer has built in a virtual private network that accesses to where it blocks out people who shouldn't be on the network. So what if a company needs to provide information to outside clients? Well, that's where the extranet is a network. You got to look at the definition of that. Oh, got to scroll down. It's a controlled private network that allows access by partners, vendors, and suppliers, or an authorized set of customers, normally to a subset of the information accessible. So a lot of times the extranet, you can't access everything in the company, but they will put certain things available to people outside the organization that they can look at. Like if we have our student handbook, the student handbook is certainly part of our intranet here, but it's also accessible by all students, and parents can look it up on the web and they can have access to see that. So it's placed in a part of the network that's accessible both sides. So it's a network to be partially accessed by authorized outside users to where you can securely exchange information over the internet. So the extranet is located behind the firewall. Security precautions are very important when handling private data to ensure unauthorized people outside the company can't access confidential information. Passwords, firewalls, VPNs should be used to protect confidential data from unauthorized access and close security gaps. Our grades on the home access, HAC, the hack, right? That is actually maintained by the state of Arkansas on an intranet, but it has it built also with an extranet to where anyone that has a password, we can log into it from the schools, you can log into it from home, and we can access that information. But people that are not authorized can't look at everyone's grades, that kind of thing. So a virtual private network, the VPN, passwords, firewalls, and VPNs be used to protect that. The VPN is a type of tunneling protocol. Let's look at tunneling. Allows traveling information to appear public when in fact it's actually looking to pass through the landscape in a private, undetected way. So it seems like it's public, but a VPN makes it a private network so you can travel over the internet on a public network. So let's look at the key features of intranets and extranets. So an intranet securely distributes confidential information to employees, manage secure documents, projects, and forms all in one location on the server there. Encourage internal collaboration and sharing, increases workflow, reduces errors, and tracking events with shared calendars, which we have shared calendars here that I can access calendars and see, like athletic calendars, the VHS calendar, the Bentonville West calendar. I can see all the events, anything they have scheduled on shared calendars that we have. Virtual school, we have our own shared calendar as well. So extranet allows clients and vendors to access information, securely share information with others outside the internal network, create custom portals for specific clients. There may be certain customers you have that you allow them access to stuff that not all, even other customers could see. Provides up-to-date information to others outside the organization, and you can share dates and meeting updates with specific partners. So, all right, page 3, the VLAN. This is a virtual local access network. It's a group of devices on one or more local access networks that are configured to communicate as if they were attached to the same wire, but are actually located on several different local access networks. Virtual local access networks are extremely flexible because they're based on logical instead of physical connections. They don't actually have to be all in the same building. That'd be like banks would operate. Each internal bank would have its local area network where all the tellers and everything can access customer accounts and different information. But there'd also be like a virtual local access to connect different branches of the bank. You got a bank in Bentonville, a bank in Rogers. It's the same company, the same bank. So they have a virtual network to where they can connect each other. If you go over to Rogers and want to pull money out of your account, that your account in Bentonville, they can be in a virtual local area network. So it still treats it just like you're in the same building. All virtual LAN configurations done on the network, router, switch, and access points. When a client device sends data, each packet's tagged as it enters the network. And once it's tagged, it's routed to the right destination. All right, this is similar how luggage is tagged when you checked in at the airport. When it gets its destination, you can take the tag off, right? Called untagging or stripping the tag. So you have something that you need to access from another network, goes to the VLAN, it tags it so it knows which one of the other branches to go to or whatever. And then when it gets there, it takes that tag off because it's not needed. So, all right. Router, fast internet, different floors, marketing virtual network, engineering virtual network, accounting virtual networks. They may be all connected, but in different floors of the building, they have different networks, just as an example. So typically, virtual LANs, local area networks, are used to keep the various LAN subnets isolated. Let's look at subnet. It's a local subdivision of an IP network. The practice of dividing the network into 2 or more networks is called subnetting. It's isolated, so the router is generally routing wide area networks to the virtual local area networks. A common example would be a hotel with like a shared device, like a printer in the lobby. A lot of hotels have a printer in the lobby that staff can use and guests can use. So it can be placed on the virtual local area network for the visitors, for hotel guests, with the router rules defined to route traffic from the operations VLAN to the printer on the visitor VLAN. So that way, staff and guests of the hotel can both access it. So how to secure that, these virtual networks? Well, the first step is the physical, is ensuring the router is located in a restricted area. Right? You should have physically secure, a locked door. In no circumstances should unauthorized people gain physical access to your router, right, or any other of your infrastructure equipment. So the first security you want is physical security of actually keeping your computer secure. Password access. Passwords got to be used in the virtual networks. So access should conform to the roles performed. I figured as much, Laura. You're good. You're having some network problems. Access should conform to the roles performed by each person that has management responsibilities. And then you got role-based access, right? Because some users may be able to access more areas of your network than others based on the confidentiality of the information, right? So you configure the switch so each user has a unique login and password. You can assign privilege levels based on their role. No more than 1 or 2 administrators should have full access, right? Because that's the people who actually change things inside your network. You don't want everyone to have access to that. If they're just a user, you just want to be able to access certain information, but not all of the stuff to configure the network. And finally, you configure your password encryption, where your passwords aren't visible to everyone. So logs, in addition to access controls, you got to make sure your accounting is properly configured and part of your make sure accounting is properly configured and part of your log management processes. Accounting tracks all the configuration changes. So you need logs. Anytime you change something in your security network, you need to keep track of that, because a lot of times it can create a bug for one thing, or some access that you didn't expect. And so you can go back and see what you changed. But a log of who accessed files on networks good to have too, if something goes wrong. Or who made that change. They shouldn't have made that change. Or maybe that person wasn't authorized to make that change. So it's good to have logs on anything in your network as well. Knowledge check. Oh, they're going to test this now. Let's see. Match the description of the feature to the term. So let's see. Ooh, a lot of choices here. Let's see. Configuring hardware so each user has a unique username and password. What do you think? Let's see. A lot of choices. Logs, firewall routers, software updates, security policy, password, role-based control, physical access, antivirus. Well, if you're configuring the hardware so each user has a unique username and password, that could be password access. I wonder if it could be role-based control. There may be something else to talk about role-based control. You'd think that would be simply, since you're given a unique username and password, to be password access. You think? No. Let's go back to the role-based control then. Or did I choose the right thing there? Yeah, it was role-based control. So yeah, your username and password allow you to access certain things where others don't. So, list of regulations employees must adhere to. Okay, well, that's not antivirus. It's not physical access, because physical access is keeping track of physically where everything is. Password, security policy. Well, that would make sense. The list of regulations would be, what is your policy? Okay. Oh, we just talked about this, and tracking all the changes made by users, right? That would be logs, right? Maintaining logs to track all the changes. Okay. Requiring credentials to prevent users from accessing sensitive data. No, that's not physical. That should be password access, right? Credentials. You got to have the right password to get in there. There's the physical access. Storing hardware like routers and switches in a secure location. That means physically in a secure location. Software and hardware that's designed to prevent unauthorized access. Not updates, not router, firewall. It's got to be, well, it could be firewall. Antivirus or firewall? Which one do you think it is? Got to be antivirus, right? No, we tried too many times. Oh, we only had 2 wrong. No. Firewall goes with software and hardware designed to prevent unauthorized access. That was firewall. Router is a device that forwards data packets along the networks. So whatever. Security policy, we had that. Antivirus, which is software designed to prevent hackers from deploying malicious software. Password access, physical, role-based control. Okay, we had about all of those. We were close. I'll let you restart if you want to do it again. Here's the career spotlight for today. Digital forensics. Ooh, that sounds like a pretty cool thing to put on a business card. Digital forensics is an emerging career field that combines scientific forensics with cybersecurity. So most careers in this field require a bachelor's degree or higher, and those intended in the field should have a strong problem-solving skills. Be proficient with technology and enjoy working with a team. This field offers career opportunities in several settings, including government, medical, and law enforcement. And the growing number of cyber attacks keeps these professionals busy. Digital forensics is a career path with strong demand. Forensics is those folks that go and investigate crime scenes. My wife has a degree in forensic chemistry. She could go and do all of those tests on a crime scene from what she studied. And she actually teaches chemistry here at BHS now. But that's what forensics is. So digital forensics is doing the same thing, going investigating when there's been a cyber crime. That'd be a cool career. All right, adding security. It's our last page here. Adding security with NAT. So for added security, a network device, typically is a router, usually, can use a process called network address translation. So there's a new term we haven't had before. Network address translation to assign a public address to one or more computers inside a private network. So this limits the number of public IP addresses a company has. This is useful when computers only need to access resources inside the network, like printers or file servers. So IP addresses can expose information to hackers. That's why they should be minimized. You shouldn't just do this with all your computers. You need to protect as much as possible. Routers have no trouble moving traffic between private addresses. But to access online resources, they need a public address, that public IP number, to correctly send and receive the request. So network address translation, a NAT, allows this to happen more securely. All right, so they have like the private IP is this, but this is some IPs assigned to each of the computers. Goes the router's this one, but the modem's going to convert and give it a public IP that they can see. But that's not the IP address of any of the computers, so it would make it harder to specifically target one of the routers or computers because the public IP is set up that way. Cybersecurity in the future. Weaknesses can be exploited at the network, operating system, application, and data levels. So it stands to reason each of those fields needs its own security zones, areas with increased trust, accountability, and safety. So this type of precise protection can contain infection, keeping it from reaching deeper levels. Sooner you can stop it, the better. It's why you have multiple levels of security. Cybersecurity is a unique field. We've got to understand hardware, software, the virtual aspects of security, and also be creative looking for solutions sometimes. Standard security measures are useful, but not always entirely secure. People still get into these networks. We see it on the news regularly. So professionals got to be familiar with many different components and continuously educate themselves on new and emerging technology. So there you go, guys. Completed assignment. Let's look at our questions for the week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 questions this week. And just basically the stuff we just talked about in network security. So, all right. Moving on. Unit 3 now. It's our last unit of the semester. And things are going well. So that's it, guys. I don't have anything else for you today. You guys are doing great. If you got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a super Monday. It's an 8A Friday. Oh, Wednesday, I am not here. I have to be with an Algebra 2 teaching group all day. So I won't have class Wednesday. None of you are below 70, but if you had questions, it'll have to be Friday unless you email me. So, okie dokie.